All right. Good morning, folks. Welcome in. It's Friday on House Edge Live. Usually I take Fridays off, but yesterday I had a thing to do with work, so we skipped a day. And here we are. It's Happy Friday, everybody. We're finishing up our week on how do I win. So I started this week by talking about kind of my experiences over at Casino Quest, working in the store, and kind of like the questions people ask when they come in, like the ones who want lessons. What are they asking for? And it's, of course, they want to learn how to win. But they come at it from these different angles, right? We talked about the folks that come in that are, very, very new, just want to learn the game. Some folks have had bad experiences playing the game, and they want to learn how to have some confidence going up to like a blackjack table and not making a mistake, or, being not fearful of jumping into a busy craps pit. It's hard for the new gambler to feel comfortable in the casino, but then they also don't want to get destroyed, right? So a lot of that is like, just how do I win? How do I not get killed out here in the casino? So that was the big part of the first couple of folks that I talked to. But then you get the people who think they have an advantage. They either think that they're dice influencers, or they think they can count cards or whatever, and they're tired of kind of walking the plank, so to speak, and they want the secret sauce. They want the way to get in and win. And the reality is, and I think today's show will kind of wrap this all up. And I'd love for the folks that are here today, jump in chat and tell me what you think. What is your quote unquote way to win? How do you win? Right? And what would you tell somebody who says, hey, I'm new to the game, I want to learn how to win? Or somebody says, I'm tired of losing all the time because maybe I don't know the game well enough. What do you tell them? How do I win? What do you tell the person who thinks they have an advantage to level up? Right? It's a cool spot for us to be in, but it's an interesting thing because, you know me, I'm very much a realist, and so is David. You talk to David, outside of the craziness of the roulette videos, and he's a very much a realist, right? And we've had some great conversations about this topic, and I'll share some of that with you as we go along here today, of just what the casinos will and won't allow, right? And so, which kind of brings me into like what we always talk about here, which is, the casinos really do exist in this world to take all your money. And I think can't forget that, right? We can't forget the fact that you're fighting this battle that you really aren't able to win ultimately, without extreme luck. And talking to David last night over dinner, I brought this topic up actually, like how my show's been going. And he said, we had a guy come in and he's like, hey, I'm older, I'm on retirement, and I just need, about $50 extra a day just to kind of make it through. Teach me how to make $50 a day. And I chuckled because that's kind of what I teach, right? You can make a little bit all the time kind of thing. But in reality, the casinos don't love that either. Like, don't get it in your head that just because you're talking about making $50 a day, little daily paycheck type of thing, that the casinos will be happy with that either, right? David's exact quote to me was, they want a shot at your money. If you're a one-hitting down guy, right, you're going to go in there 220 inside, grab your $70 and walk out the door every single day, and you happen to get a month where you don't PSO, they don't want your action. They don't want, even that they don't want. Even that $70 drives them insane to lose that on the daily. That person may not be allowed to play. Think about that. Now, bubble crap's a different story, right? But on a real table, they have the option to refuse your action, even on that, because they don't have a shot at the money. That was his exact quote. They don't have a shot at the money. Think about that. The casinos exist to take it all, and they want an even crack at everything. And if they can't have it, you're out. To quote Seattle's mayor, bye-bye, you're out. That's the way that it works. So again, I say this kind of stuff all the time. And even though I'm a little bit contradictory here, the bridge is the only way to get through it, right? You have to have strong mental, emotional control, right? You got to set goals. You got to have discipline. You got to have the intelligence to understand the game that you're playing. You got to be in touch with your risk. And you got to have the bankroll that it takes to get your job done. That's it. Your money has a job to do if you're going to play on the regular. It's just so important to kind of get all that in your head. And again, you can't just show up every morning at 7 o'clock at the same table and rip $40 off it. You just can't, right? They won't let you do that. Now, on a weekend, sure, they don't give two craps if I'm here on a weekend and I grab $40 3 days in a row. But if I'm here 60, 70, 80 days in a row grabbing $40, ain't gonna work. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, that's the reality of it. That's the way that they see the reality. So, with that said, we're gonna finish up our little series here, and we've been talking about like the how do I win, right? So we did a little intro on Monday. I did some fact or fiction on Tuesday. I gave you some ideas of ways to approach it from both sides of the argument of how do I be an advantage player, how do I be a beginner player, how do we approach that. Did a little rollout here yesterday, or Wednesday rather. Today what I want is your opinions. Again, today is you can say I'm full of shit, you can say you got it right. I want to know how you feel about, how would you answer that question? To the new player, how would you answer it to an experienced player who's losing all the time? How would you answer it to somebody who thinks that they have an advantage? Somebody who wants to be a card counter and ready to take the next level. How would you answer the question? So that's today. Today we are in dig it or dog it, and yeah. So there's the come on doggies. Where are you? There's my puppies. My computer's running really slow. I'm not sure why we're so laggy, but we're losing. We're lagging on the internet speed. We're lagging on the processing speed. My laptop's not the greatest thing, but dig it or dog it. I want to know what you thought about what we said this week. And again, I'm going to go through basically all the comments here coming up and seeing what y'all thought. Now, some of the things that I talked about throughout the week were this, right? Do you have an advantage, and can you actually take advantage? That's one of the things. Is there such a thing as advantage play? And the answer to the question is yes, there is, with a but at the end of it. So yes, there is advantage play. You can count cards and get an advantage. If you're properly keeping the count and you're properly betting the count, you can have an advantage. That advantage is this big. And most of you don't have the bankroll to do it. The way to win counting cards is to have massive bet spreads. And again, if the casino sees a massive bet spread, the red lights go on, upstairs is notified, they come down, they back you off, right? If you're doing what it takes to win as a card counter, you'll be backed off, which is part of the problem. The second part of the problem is even if they don't catch you, you're doing the big bet spreads. You're going to have table maxes to contend with, which means you can't get your spread far enough or high enough. And the second thing is you need bankroll, because having a good count doesn't mean you're going to win. It means you're more likely to win. Doesn't mean you're going to win. You could have a great count and go full max on your spread and go from a quarter to 750 and lose 5 hands in a row. It can still happen, right? It can still happen. You can still lose 5 hands in a row, and now your bankroll is depleted. Card counters have massive bankrolls because they understand variance. They understand they have to withstand that to take advantage of that later. Most of you can't do it. Guy comes in, wants to be a card counter. He buys in for $500 to $1,000. I tell him, no, you can't do it. You just can't do it. Unless you're playing a dollar blackjack machine, that's a legit shoe game. Like those things are not. So that's the truth there, right? The dice influencers, again, if you have an advantage, Heavy and Bo were on with Fran at Casino Tears last night talking about advantage shooting, right? It's a small advantage. It's enough, but it's small. If you can move your SRR a half a point or a point, right, from 6 to 6.5 or 7, if you can move it in that direction, that's great. But if you can't bet, you can't take advantage of it. Heavy told the story last night, which I thought was a very interesting story, right, about Howard. He said Howard never had to bet over $25 in his life. He was a great shooter, but never really made money, right? Except for on the length of his rolls. He never bet into the roll, right? I think I've taken classes from both Bo and Heavy. I've been to both of their seminars. I helped Heavy teach once. I've been to Bo's house a couple of times. They focus on betting. Like your toss is your toss. There's things to practice and work on, and the mindset of those two is if your toss is good, and if your toss works, and if your toss gets you into a rhythm where you're throwing numbers, let's look at what you're doing when you're throwing the numbers. That's all that it comes down to. If your toss helps you, fantastic. If you're throwing numbers, bet them. That's what they teach. They aren't out there preaching this, you got to throw perfect dice every time or you're going to be a loser like the Dominator does. That's what the Golden Touch method is. You throw perfect or else you're a piece of shit. Those guys are focused on the betting. If you have an advantage, play into it, but don't depend on it. That's the mantra there. Tony Leo, another guy that I work with, I love Tony. Tony's a great guy. This is his thing, 27-3, right? He wins in a given month, and again, he casino hops, he does his thing, right? He'll win 27 times in a month, he'll lose 3 times in a month, right? He's got a pretty good bankroll. He does a little bit of a negative progression system. If you're willing to lose a bunch 3 times, but you're going to win 27 times ahead of that, and the 27 wins outpace the 3 losses in terms of dollars, right? Win $2,700, right? Lose $1,500, right? If you're risking 500 to win 1, which is not a tough ratio, you'll lose 15, you'll win 27, you're up. That's the way. That's the Tony way. Win a little, a lot of times, lose a lot a few times. Some people teach the opposite. Win 3 times big. Win $1,500 3 times. Lose $500 27 times. Whatever the numbers are, right? Lose forever. Get 3 pops in a month. You might be in the same spot. Both players might be up $1,200 at the end of a month, right? It's your journey through that matters, right? There's no secret sauce here. Right? Winning a little bit a lot of times is not the only way to do it. Winning a lot a few times, not the only way to do it. Playing with an advantage is not the only way to do it. Everybody's got their own secret, and there is no actual secret. And that was the takeaway for the week, I hope. So let me run through some of the chats here. It's not very busy today, so we might have a short show, but I'm going to run through here and see what we have. Dr. S, predictably, right? How do I win? Never go without a ladder. Dr. S is definitely a ladder guy. Waylon will tell you the same thing. Go with a ladder. Waylon plays bubble craps a lot, right? Small stakes. Like I know he plays on his table, on his videos with 5K, right? And he'll bet black chips. But in real life, most of the time, him and Alicia are at the bubble machines, right? They're rocking $500. They're making their 20, 30, 40, 50, cashing out 20, and they're just doing it, right? That's how they do it, right? They're doing 27-3 without calling it that. Does that make sense, right? Most ladder guys are going to be in that realm. They're going to be, let me win a little, let me win on the regular. Once in a while, I'll take it in the face. It happens. That's the process for a lot of people. What a lot of people have come down to, I think, and I think, Dr. S, you might be in this club. I'm not going to speak for you. And actually, you'll be in town in about a week, right? We'll talk in person. You're tired. Going for the home run is hard, right? Going for the 3 out of 27, it's taxing. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot out of you. You know what I mean? Like it's rough sledding. Grinding seems like it's rough sledding, but it's actually not that bad. It's kind of freeing to go out there, win, and do it and walk away. It's actually like, whew, it feels pretty good to take a little bit of money from the house and get out of there. So again, to each their own, for sure. Skill and Luck says bet higher than the minimum, 1 or 2 hits at most, then bet under that amount and be happy with that and repeat to win a little bit at a time. Skill kind of threads the needle here. I'm going to show you one of his ways to play, or a way that I play that's very similar to Skill, where you take a couple hits, you bet higher than minimum, come down to minimum or thereabouts, and work it from there and do a regular collection. That's not a bad way to go. You don't have to hit the home run. If a long run happens and you're on a good press collect rhythm, whatever the game you're playing is, it doesn't matter if it's craps or blackjack or Bach or whatever. It doesn't matter the game. That pattern of play, higher than the minimum, come down a little bit, and then a little bit of up and pull, right? The little bit of march to fill in your rack is smart, right? Nick, the most important thing to win is to protect your bankroll and have a clear win goal. Oh, I love it, man. Knowledge and discipline and ties into it. Systems don't matter much. It's almost like you've watched my show and you think the exact same thing. I love this quote. I love everything you just said. The systems don't matter. I know you all know Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps, good friend of mine, good friend of all of ours, actually. Jeff has been on the, he preaches a lot. I don't believe in strategies. Ed Robinson, don't believe in strategies. Although they do play strategies. Like, don't kid yourself. They play the same way almost every single time. That is a quote unquote strategy, but they don't rely on a system, right? They rely on discipline. They rely on matching their bankroll to the way they want to play, to the way they see the game unfolding, right? It's all got to match. If you don't have the goals, discipline, knowledge, and able to lean in, you're gonna have a rough time, right? I think it's all about the matchup. So yeah, what do we have here? Old Bay says, "Whoa, John, is the basic cable?" Yeah, right. It does look good, doesn't it? No, I had to go black and white because this room is lit weird. If I put the light, you see, there's a light behind me over there or over here. If that light's on, it really gets a weird orange glow, and so I had to turn the light off, and then it was too dark. So I had to, I'm black and white. I'm black and white until I go back to Seattle. You do owe me a phone call. Yes, you do. It's okay. I tried to, when I drove to Vegas, I had 15 hours in the car, and I called everybody. I'm like, I'm just missing my friends. You know what I mean? I try to make the calls here. I'm probably buffering. I can tell that the screen's kind of going crazy. Man, this is a pain in the ass. This what a terrible still shot that is. Good Lord. Come on, catch back up. We may have burned the crap. I think we're done. Are we streaming still? Oh, yeah. I think we might have stopped. Damn it. It's almost like every day this thing seems to lose its, as we stream, it gets worse and worse. I'm not sure what's going on. Can you hear me okay? Did we totally lose it? Ugh. I think we lost the whole damn stream. Oh, I saw a thumbs up. It's weird, man. It's like, I don't know if it's my laptop or if it's the internet here, but it seems like it gets laggy and then just goes away and it comes back. Anyway, I did that long trip and I called everybody, and it's hard to stay in touch with everybody because we get involved and stuff. So I'm trying to make an effort of like at least once a month to start calling people. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna get running here. It's about 10 minutes to 8. I got an 8 o'clock meeting. I want to prep for that. So not a lot of more comments out there, but think about this question as you go out. And again, I kind of anoint you all sort of the knights of the round table here kind of thing, which is this. You're going to run into people who ask you, especially those of you like Mike from On Point and Skill from Skill and Luck, right? And Craig from Old Bay and Vegas Day Tripper, right? You're going to run into people that know who you are at the tables. How do you win? What do you do? What's your secret, right? Remind them of what I'm telling you here. Remind them of what I'm telling you. There is no secret sauce. The casino has the advantage. However, if you can match your bankroll to your play style, if you set goals and have discipline and you know your game, you got a pretty good shot of winning more often than you lose. Take advantage of your winning sessions and don't get destroyed by your losses. That's sort of the way I think to get it done. So, with that said, I'm going to run over here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and change a couple of screens ahead if I can, and just end on Louis' quote, the focus quote, which is this: to follow your plan, observe conditions, control emotions, understand the game, stay disciplined, right? The bridge and focus, to me, are so closely married. That's why I start the show talking about the bridge and I end with Louis' focus quote, because they're both, to me, so important, okay? And above all, like I always say, keep it simple. Keep things simple. My number one advice to people is don't go overcomplicate things. The idiots admire complexity. Geniuses admire simplicity. Keep it simple. Simple bets, simple patterns. Know your game. Bet into what you know. And that's it. You guys have a great weekend. I'll talk to you again on Monday. Hopefully maybe my computer's got some memory issues. I don't know. I'll check it out. We'll try and fix it for Monday. And I'll see you then. Y'all have a great weekend. Love y'all. God bless. Bye.